Hello everyone and welcome to part 11 of the lab book. I am going to attach the first folio to the lab book. We finished it in the last video and I am going to use a fabric glue. This is Bison and I'm going to put it all over the back side and I'm going to smear it out a bit with my fingers to make a somewhat even coat. And then I'm just going to attach it to the cover, and I'm also going to use a tiny bit of super glue on the edges to make sure that it really sticks. And I'm using a super glue that is not that runny stuff, but more like a gel. It's easier to control. And then I'm going to carefully position it. And now we need to make a folio like we did in the other one. This is a pouch, sort of, where there was all sorts of papers that they could use to decorate the actual journal. That was the idea. So we're gonna recreate that as well. The last time I made it with Amazon packaging, but I don't have any of that left. So this time I'm going to use a large envelope. I'm going to use a junk mail envelope, but by all means you can just use a normal envelope or make one out of paper. I'm going to glue the envelope shut with some glue stick. And then I'm going to cut off a sliver from the sides to open it up because we need a pocket. I am then taking out my lab book again to measure how I need to fold it and how high it needs to be. So I'm not doing real measurements, I'm just checking to see how large I want the flaps to be, and then I'm just gonna fold it over. And I'm also gonna determine how high it has to be. So I cut it to size first and then I continue the folding. And now we have the proper size of the second folio that we need. I then cut off both the top and the right side to open up the envelope completely. And then I'm also going around the entire envelope, front and back, with some scorched timber. And I'm also doing that on the inside. And I do that because we are going to make 2 pockets. So on both the sides, you will be able to see inside. So that's why I'm cutting the envelope open, because it's way easier to decorate the insides like this than it would have been when the envelope was completely closed. I'm going to cut out panels of paper to cover the inside pockets with, and I'm going to glue them down with glue stick. We need 4 panels in total for the right side and for the left side. So I am now gluing down the pockets themselves. So I'm just gonna put glue on one side of the envelope. This was the top side of the envelope. and then you fold it over, and then the envelope is closed again. And now we are going to decorate the outside. I'm decorating one side of the folio first. This is the side that you will see. I'm not doing the back side because we're gonna glue that down. Then I also sew around the pockets before I decorate the insides, and I do that because I don't like the back side of stitching. And as you can see here, also the smaller flap, I have sewn that in the middle as well to create 2 pockets. I hope that is all clear. If not, don't be afraid to ask me any questions in the comment. I will answer them always. But anyway, yeah, like I said, I just don't like the back side of stitching, how that looks. So that's why I do it like this. And now I am going to work on 2 flaps because I want to make these this folio just a bit different than I did the other one. So the base is the same, but we're gonna decorate it a bit different by adding 2 flaps. And I'm going to score a hinge or something that you can glue it on. And I'm also going to score 1/8 of an inch to create a little how do you call that, spine, but I'm doing that later. Yeah, I'm gonna do that now. Yeah, so 1/8 of an inch spine just to create a bit of room, and I'm gonna do that for both of them. And then I'm also going to cut 2 pieces of paper for both the insides and the outside. So you're gonna need 4 of them. I am then going over with some scorched timber. I'm doing the folds and the outside edges. And I'm also gonna miter the glue strips, or how do you call these? I don't know. I am then choosing some of the Tim Holtz trims to put on the 1/8 of an inch spines. I'm going to add a bit of art glitter glue so that I know that the washi won't get unstuck. And I'm doing that on both the insides and the outsides. I'm also going to round all the corners, and I'm going to do that with the 7 setting. I believe it's 7, no, is it 7 inch? I don't know, the middle setting. And then I'm going to distress all the papers, also with the scorched timber. And then I will stick it down with glue stick on all the panels. And now I'm going to make 2 circles to create a closure, and I'm making 2 small circles from the craft cardstock that you can send down from Tim Holtz, and then I'm going to make 2 larger circles with some scrap paper that is left from the paper that I used throughout this entire project. And I am going to glue everything down. I'm also going to use some hole reinforcers and some breads. I then glued down the hole reinforcers with some art glitter glue, and while I was gluing them both down, I realized that one was bigger than the other, so I take it off pretty quickly so it's not stuck down yet, and I'm going to replace it for another one. So yeah, this one is bigger than the other. And at first I thought about keeping the closures small like this, but I thought they were really small, so I decided to make them bigger with a 1-inch circle punch. And I'm going to cut these circles out of a bit of a light green cardstock. I am then going to attach them to the flaps. And I do this before I cover the inside of the flaps with paper so that you can cover the breads. And I'm going to stick that down as well with some glue stick. But here I forgot to ink the edges. The amount of times that I forget to ink edges before I put glue on it. Uh-oh. Alright, and now I'm going to attach the actual flaps, and I'm using art glitter glue to do that. And then I'm going to attach some thread, and I was picking out 3 colors to see which one I would like most. But the green was a bit too bright and the turquoise didn't really fit, so I decided to use this brown thread that I have. And I'm going around it with my finger a few times to straighten it out a bit. I am then going to spin it round to see how long of a piece of thread that I need, and then I'm going to cut it to size that way. And I'm also gonna add a tiny leaf charm, just because it looked cute. And I'm just going to put the thread through and make a knot, a double knot. And I'm also going to put on a tiny bit of art glitter glue just to secure the knot. And then the flaps are done. I am then going to punch out 2 wheel tail tabs with the Tim Holtz craft paper, and I'm going to sand them both down. But one of the tabs was not cut out correctly. I put in the paper wrong, so I had to make a new one. But I'll save the other ones. At first I thought I needed 2, but I end up using only 1. I am then going to make 2 holes to add in 2 eyelets, and I'm using my crocodile for that. It took me a while because I wanted them to be at the exact same spot, so I had to measure it and turn the slider up, if that makes sense. And these are the really big eyelets that I got recently off Temu. I am then going to grab a piece of string to make a closure. And at first I wanted to use this jute thread, but eventually I'm going to switch it out for the same brown thread that we used on the inside, because this was sort of, how do I explain this? I have opened up the folder a few times, and then I noticed that the endings of the thread where you would close them with a bow were getting weaker and weaker. The thread was just getting like, it's all like hairs, right? And it would like let go a bit of the thread, so the threads would not have survived the opening and closing many times, I guess. So that's why I switched it out for stronger thread. And I'm going to attach it the same way. I forgot to score a spine. Now, this isn't really necessary because as you can see, like I did, you can just curve it to make a curvy shape. That will also work, but if you don't like that, I advise you to make the envelope a tiny bit smaller so that you can make some how do you call it? I just said the word literally. Spines, thank you. Yeah, so if you want a spine on the right side, keep that in mind. I decided to just squeeze it a bit to make it rounded, and that works just as well. Here you can see that I'm swapping out the threads for some stronger thread, and I'm using some tape for the back side. We're gonna glue this to the actual book anyway. And then you just put the threads through both eyelets and tie a bow. And I really like how this folio turned out. It's very simple to do, but it's very cute. And I'm then going to use 2 more of those flower cards that I've used earlier in the project. and I'm going to slide those inside the pockets, but I don't like the shiny look of them, so I'm going to use some Mod Podge and a single piece of a napkin to make them matte. I think this could also work with just a layer of Mod Podge, but I don't really like the streakiness of the brush, so I prefer to use the napkin. And I'm just going to use one layer, and I'm going to try to keep it as flat as possible. And then I'm just gonna add one extra layer of Mod Podge and leave them to dry. Then I'm going to sand down the edges to make them look worn down. And then I'm also going over the edges with some scorched timber to make them look even older. And I really like how they turned out. And then I'm going to decorate the pocket. And I'm going to use bits of cheesecloth. And then I decided I want to use a few of the random sciencey labels. And this is the one that I decide to use, and for the bottom part I decide to use this tag with the yellow flowers on it. And also a small label. I'm going to ink all the edges with scorched timber, and then I'm going to assemble the pieces and glue them down on the front of the folio with some art glitter glue. I'm also going to add a bit of book pages behind the tags. It's not a tag, is it? Yeah, it is a tag. Oh gosh. Anyway, here you can see how it turned out. I placed the cheesecloth underneath, but I made sure that it went over the corner a bit. I really like that look, and I glued that down a bit with some art glitter glue so that it won't move. And then I'm also going to use one of the Tim Holtz number strips for the top cluster. And here you can see how I attach the cheesecloth a bit. It's like on the back, but it's also going over the front. Yeah. And I also added some book pages for the top one, and then I'm going to look for a few snippets from Tim Holtz to make it a bit more interesting, I guess. We are now going to move to the inside, and when I opened it up I realized that the back sides of the cards were really empty. I have backed them, by the way, with some tea stained paper. I forgot to tell you that, but I'm going to use a bit of the Tim Holtz splatter stencil. Oh my gosh, guys, words are very hard today. I cannot talk today. Oh my lord. Anyway, I'm going to add some of the stains with some frayed burlap. And I'm doing it very lightly. And I'm then also going to do a bit of stamping on both of them, and only on the top sides, because these are journal cards, and I don't want to put too many stems on there because then there won't be much space for writing. And I'm using the red and the dark brown VersaFine Clair inks, Fallen Leaves and Chianti. I then decide to add a few of the cacti facade cards to both of the pockets, and I'm choosing ones that have a bit of the white flowers. I'm then looking through my flower fuzzy cuts, and I am debating which one, the yellow or the pink, but I decide to go for the pink flowers because I didn't really use many pink flowers yet. And I'm going to stick it down with some art glitter glue. I then picked out two pieces that I have gotten in a swap, and these are stamped images of stamp sets from Tim Holtz that I don't own myself. So I'm going to use those two, and I'm also picking out two pockets that I have from Pink and Monarch Prints. I forgot the name of the kit. I've used it before. I think it's Pocket and Text, Botanical Pockets and Text, something like that. And yeah, I'm going to use those two. I have sewn around the edges, and I'm going to ink them with scorched timber and then glue down the three sides with some art glitter glue. And I'm making sure that the bottom and the sides are equal. Yeah, now I'm gonna glue down the two pieces that I talked about. These are from the swap that I've got. And I'm then going to use some more decorations. And I found these hexagon images inside the bits and bobs that were left from the kit from the September subscription kit from Pink and Monarch Prints. And I decide to cut off a piece so that they fit the pockets. And I'm cutting it as straight as possible. And I'm going to do that for both of them. And then I'm going to stick them down with some art glitter glue, but I'm also gonna ink around the edges and roughen them up with my scissors a bit. We are now nearing the end of the video. I also have put in papers that I picked out. I will show you those in the next video as well. These are just going to be papers that are left from the kit that I've used, but also some textured papers, handmade papers, and some vintage papers. And these are meant to be used when the journal is going to be decorated. That's the idea behind it. And I'm also gonna stuff the pockets with some verkade cards and some tags. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this little folio. I sure did. The actual lab book is almost finished. There will be only one part left, so stay tuned for that. I want to thank everyone for watching, and I want to wish you all a nice day wherever you are. And if you're new here, thank you for taking the time to visiting my channel. Please consider to subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you will always be notified when I upload new content. Thank you for watching. Bye!